The 89-mile run from my home airport, Yolo County, to South Lake Tahoe Airport is a 1-hour flight in the Sting. The trip up involves a steady climb from sea level to about 11,000 feet, then a quick descent into the Tahoe Basin. The airport's 8,500-foot-long runway sits at 6,300 feet elevation, close to the big lake. Summertime density altitudes here approach 10,000 feet, and adverse weather may occur in any month. In September 2012, after 6 previous uneventful flights to the big lake, I got snookered by bad weather. The result was a hard landing that I'll never forget. This video chronicles that day. It focuses on my mistakes, the whole chain of them, and what they taught me. Maybe some of what I learned can help you achieve safer flying in the mountains. Anyway, here's how that day went down, literally. Mistake number 1 that day occurred even before takeoff. I was too cocky and complacent, having logged 650 hours in my airplane in just 2 years. The delusion that I had become master of the aircraft led to a letdown of due caution for numerous additional inherent dangers of mountain flying. I failed to understand that lots of non-mountain hours hadn't necessarily prepared me for serious mountain flying. In short, I didn't know how much I still didn't know about mountain flying. Mistake number 2 was leaving at midday instead of my usual 0-dark-30. By restricting previous flights to early mornings, exposure to convective and mechanical turbulence from rapid daily summertime warming was minimized. But for this trip, I wrongly assumed that the shorter days and lower sun angles of late September would equate with much less turbulence, just as in midwinter. But late September is not winter, and there was actually still high probability of serious midday turbulence. At 7,500 feet in the climb towards the summit, something was very different from previous morning runs. I was bucking a nasty downslope wind and struggling to maintain a 65-knot ground speed. This should have been my signal to turn around, but I chugged blissfully ahead, and this was mistake number 3. With the headwind, I ended up being between 7,500 and 11,000 feet for about an hour. And because of task saturation, including dealing with that wind, I had forgotten regular hits from the boost O2 canister. My cognition seemed to be lapsing. Hypoxia may have been setting in. Clearly, a better choice in this situation would have been a cannula or mask for the O2. Anyway, allowing hypoxia an opening was mistake number 4. 10 miles out, the CTAF finally penetrated the tall mountains. Pilatus 12 departing runway 18, right downwind departure, was the first call. Hello? Standard departure is runway 36 out over the lake. Traffic patterns are on the east side. Maybe I better call and inform him. It was such distractive, possibly hypoxic thinking that constituted mistake number 5. Plus, later this nugget in the AFD proved me completely wrong. Large and high-performance aircraft depart runway 18, right downwind recommended. Next, the ASOS came to life with a report unlike any of the previous flights. Wind variable to 5, gusting to 22. The gusts signaled take time and evaluate this landing very carefully, dude. Check the FBO or another aircraft for info. Overfly and check the wind socks. Listen to the next ASOS update. But, hypoxia driven, I did none of the above. I went with the familiar and entered left downwind for runway 18. Failure to assimilate all available information before landing was mistake number 6. On downwind, I still had chance for redemption. I could tell the worst gusts were coming from 45 degrees to my left. This was my get out of Dodge signal. I should have either switched to the opposite runway or a different location on this one. But a mental fog kept me going to base, then final. Getting low and slow on final, with gusts now coming from behind at right rear quarter, was mistake number 7. In seconds, I'm 10 feet off the runway, working the pedals and stick for touchdown. Airspeed looks good, but I know my ground speed is way faster than usual. But I failed to heed the obvious danger with those gusts still chasing me from right rear. I missed the last chance to reject landing and divert to the other runway or to another airport. And that was mistake number 8. The next thing I remember is the nose wheel impacting concrete with terrible noise and force. What is unclear is whether the nose dropped due to a stall, a gust flipping up the tail, or both. My instinctive reaction was to pull the stick back hard, and this was mistake number 9. This set up porpoising. Luckily, after 2 leaps, I found my senses powered up and made the call for a go-round. I had no idea what damage was done, but judging from the force of impact, I knew it might be serious. And serious it was. The rudder pedals were nearly immovable, which meant that the nose gear strut was bent. I was able to make 2 ugly turns, first crosswind, then downwind, but with marginal rudder control, I decided to aim the airplane for home and not attempt another landing in a cement mixer. Diverting home almost became big mistake number 10 with what occurred next. As I crested the summit and picked up speed, the airplane began vibrating from a fluttering horizontal stabilizer. An instant drop in throttle and speed returned smoothness. But now it was clear there was more than just nose gear damage. So I phoned ahead to the airport and got observers ready to assess damage underneath as I flew a low pass. They reported nothing unusual, so I put her down in calm wind and finally exhaled in relief. As the nose gear repairs began, the source of the fluttering was also discovered. During porpoising, the tail cone had hit the runway, bending an elevator control rod and causing the trim cable to slip an inch. This put elevator and trim out of coordination, causing the flutter at high speed. Well, in just days, I was back in the air, and before long, I was back at the big lake, but not before some serious additional training. Thanks for watching. Browse my other videos at Sting Flight and subscribe. It's free.